All right, welcome everyone to the first meeting of January 2026. So welcome everyone. We have a nice group, still a few people coming in. Um, as you see, we have two presenters today. But to kick things off, first we have Riverside, Northside project. So we have Regine Kennedy and Christopher Galippo here to talk a little bit about this project specifically. And so we welcome you. Thanks for coming. We're so excited to hear a little bit more about the master plan and just the details of this. So go ahead, I'll stop sharing and you could introduce yourselves and start sharing your screen.
All right. Thank you so much, Melanie, for inviting us to this wonderful committee meeting. My name is Regine Kennedy. I am a senior planner with the Community and Economic Development Department for the City of Riverside. I'm going to go ahead and share the presentation that my colleague Chris Galippo and I put together for you all in today's meeting. So let me share this. I typically use Teams, so I'm still trying to get used to Zoom. So bear with me. Let's see, share. Okay, let me know if you can see my screen. It should be um, the presentation called A Look at the North Side. Is it? Okay.
I'm not seeing it yet, Regine.
All righty. How about now?
Yes.
There it
Good.
goes. Yep.
Great. Okay, thank you for bearing with me. And like I mentioned, I work on special projects that have come into the city, particularly in the Northside neighborhood, where we're seeing a lot of growth and development and interested investment in the city. Um, and I'll let Chris introduce himself first before I get into a rabbit hole here.
Yeah, thanks, Regine. My name is Chris Galippo. I'm an associate planner here at the City of Riverside. Um, been with the city almost a year and a half now. Formerly was in Development Services Department for the City of Colton. So, um, with what's going on in the North Side, it kind of it comes full circle, partnering um, with the city of Colton on what's going on in the north side. So I just wanted to mention that bit there.
And we're lucky to have snagged Chris from Colton and choosing us. So thank you, Chris. Um, so as I mentioned, the city has identified a great need for economic development to revitalize the Northside area, particularly two large city-owned properties that have been vacant and underutilized for almost a decade or even more. So in the following slides, we will be discussing the Northside specific plan and the new developments that have come in the area. Okay, just checking that you see the slide saying projects in the North Side.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay. So, just to give a little bit of context for those that are not familiar with the North Side area or don't live in the city, the North Side neighborhood is adjacent to the Hunter Industrial Park neighborhood, west of the 215 freeway and north of the 60 freeway, and east of the Santa Ana River and south of Colton. Currently, this area consists of single-family residential, as you see in the yellow colored properties here, with pockets of industrial development along Main Street and along the 215 freeway. So this neighborhood is highly underserved. In fact, during community meetings for the Northside Specific Plan, the community identified a great need for a grocery store. So something that small even would make the community very happy because as of right now, the nearest grocery store is you would have to cross the 215 freeway and it's more than a mile away. And as you know, in order for um, something to be walkable, it has to be within a quarter mile of where you live. And so right now, this area is underserved and very much a food desert. Um, it's also it's also notable to know that there are infrastructure constraints in the area, such as the need for new streets, new sewer lines, and utility lines to support all the future development that we are anticipating for this area. And a little bit about the specific plan. The Northside specific plan was adopted in 2020 by our city council with extensive engagement from the community. And it was to create a unique and vibrant community with recreational amenities and commercial mixed use opportunities. With its adjacency to downtown, just south of the Northside neighborhood, there is a lot of potential to really hone in on this vision. Um, in this map, so this is the land use map that is within the Northside specific plan. And what I've highlighted in this screen are the two major development proposals that the city has received. They are proposed in land that is currently owned by our Public Utilities Department. So it is subject to the Surplus Land Act and its need to meet the city's housing goals. So the first one is the Riverside Adventure Park, which is located in that larger, I want to say, central area labeled as ASR. I'll discuss that further in a different slide. And then the other proposal we're looking at is the Riverside Sports and Entertainment District, just to the north of that. So we anticipate that these privately funded projects will be what you would refer to as a generational project that would change the landscape of the Northside area for the better. Um, and the city is also looking at different funding programs to help fill the infrastructure gaps that are needed to fulfill uh, or to, I want to say, um, to get these two projects going. With that, I'd like to turn it to my colleague Chris Galippo to discuss other developments that we've been seeing in the North Side.
Yeah, thanks, Regine. So as Regine stated, this is in Ward 1 of the city of Riverside, just north of the 60 freeway, west of the 215, right on the border of Colton and Riverside. And so we have a few development projects, some of which have been actualized, some of which are in a conceptual phase, some of which are being entitled. And so what you'll notice is just north of the city border, which is just north of the Ab Brown project site. You'll see that within the city of Colton, you see those two location dots. The furthest north is called Roque Ranch in the city of Colton. And then you've also got Pelicia Ranch, which is the dot just a little further southwest. Both of those developments, when I was working with the city of Colton, I remember asking them, what is the Northside specific plan? And one of the planners had said, oh, don't worry about it. We never ended up partnering with the city of Riverside. And, none of this is going to be actualized anyways. And, yada, yada, yada. And it wasn't until that I got here at the city that I kind of got to see the full scope of the Northside specific plan. And, I got to hear the other side of the story. And so essentially what Colton has planned in these areas is a detached single family product. I want to say over 1,000 units potentially in the Pelicia Ranch, but it wasn't that wasn't being actualized because of the significant amount of industrial use that is in this area, and it really wasn't until our city planner, Regine, and the entire outreach team and effort that the city of Riverside made to support the ASR and the Abound projects, that we were able to have some face-to-face with the city manager of Colton and their development team. We were able to fill them in on kind of these exciting new potential developments in the north side. And I want to say we've gotten them back on board as far as potentially actualizing those developments. Because the one thing that we've seen from the community as we've engaged them on the north side is they are very passionate about seeing the north side specific plan actualized. They a lot of the feedback we received, was to stick to the specific plan, to do everything we could to avoid amending that specific plan. And I think when you go through the policies, principles, and goals of the Northside specific plan, I think we're achieving nearly all of those in these developments. And so outside of the two developments that are in the city of Colton, you'll see just east of the Av Brown site, the location marker there, that is a entitlement that is in the conceptual stages with the developer DR Horton, who has they came to us with essentially 150 unit planned residential development. For those of you that are unaware, a PRD is essentially a more enhanced design, substandard lot sizes, common open space, pedestrian walkability, amenities, private streets, so not public streets, HOA governed. So this is what is proposed just to the east of that Ab Brown site. So sort of a new housing project that we haven't seen in this general area. And then you'll also see the location marker that's just north of the 60 freeway, a little bit further down. That is the Exchange. So the Exchange has been actualized, entitled, and even under construction. That is a mixed-use, multifamily site with retail, office, and then of course the residential facet. All of these developments really spur on a much broader initiative, which is to tie the downtown of Riverside into the north side eventually, with Riverside Alive and some of the future initiatives that we have. That includes, complete street corridors up along Main Street, Orange Street, infrastructure, and then, of course, the development phase of these. So there's a lot going on in Ward 1. We found that the community is incredibly excited. We found that developers are very excited to hop on board and take advantage of the excitement of some of these, really, really, I think the way to sum them up is businesses and services that are not currently available in the north side or even in the greater city of Riverside for that matter. So these are totally new. These are regional draws and new uses that we haven't seen. So very exciting indeed.
Great. Thank you, Chris. I'd also like to add that one of the main objectives of the specific plan is to also create more types of housing. Right now, there's a lot of single-family residential, as highlighted in the yellow on this map. So part of the Northside specific plan efforts was to rezone a lot of the industrial properties that have been underutilized or vacant and rezone them to some sort of R3 or multifamily residential zone, like the ones that you see here in orange. Not sure if you can see my cursor while I'm highlighting it, but maybe not. But these that you see in orange right now, these were previously zoned. I believe it was some sort of light industrial
Mhm.
type of zoning. And then these pink colored properties that is adjacent to the 215 freeway, those were previously also light industrial or heavy industrial types of uses that have now those properties are now rezoned to mixed use freeway to allow for uses that would actually activate the area with commercial, residential, office type of uses rather than the industrial type of uses. All right. So moving on to look at the projects that we've highlighted here in depth. The Riverside Adventure Center with the mixed use component is located at the former Riverside Golf Course. It is approximately 126 acres. So you can only imagine how long of a site visit we did to tour the entire site. But this proposal includes an outdoor adventure sports area on the northerly portion of the property. This would include a whitewater rafting facility, as well as a surf lagoon, rock climbing walls, a skateboarding slash BMX area as well as a hotel for athletes who are staying there. And the intent of these facilities is to make them Olympic grade. Um, for the purpose, well, initially the purpose was to bid for the 2028 Olympics, but that wasn't the main goal. The main goal was to provide these great amenities to the local residents as well as visitors that are coming regionally. And as you move south to Columbia Avenue, there's a proposed grocery store. Yay, residents loved that when we mentioned that to community meetings, um, as well as some residential, a variety of residential types, such as single family condominiums and apartments. It's also noteworthy to say that 25% of these units are required to be affordable per the Surplus Land Act. So overall, this project is proposing 722 residential units with approximately 181 of those units dedicated towards affordable. So they would have to do some sort of affordable housing covenant to make sure that that gets locked in. Um, as far as other uses in this site, there's going to be storefront, commercial, retail uses, as well as a hotel and conference. Um, the site plan is quite fluid right now. Um, we are working with the applicants on a solution for a much larger drainage issue in the Northside area. So the site plan that you see here may change as we go through the process. Right now, we are still in the negotiations phase with the developer, but we anticipate that they will soon submit something for the entitlement and CEQA portion of the development process. Let's see, anything else that I am missing here? As far as the economic impacts, an early study showed that this type of use would attract approximately 500,000 visitors or more annually, um, and provide 2,800 new jobs as a result of this development. All right. The next one, Chris, would you like to cover this other
Absolutely.
project?
Sure thing. Yeah, so very excited about this next one. So this is the former Ab Brown soccer complex. And essentially what we have here is the beginnings of a sports and entertainment district in the city of Riverside. Um, there's a few different facets to this, but I will just, first kind of touching on what I had said earlier, as far as, the community wanting to preserve the specific plan. You might have noticed on the ASR site plan, it seems a little gray, perhaps a lot of impervious surface. And I just want to say that, the intention of these developments is very much to preserve the open space. We want to see, um, you know, a central park, tied in theme between these developments, a very pedestrian friendly, walkable development. And so, the idea is that we do as much as we can to preserve amazing sight lines, to provide as much greenery as we can, to make these developments appear as natural as possible, especially for something like a Whitewater Rapids Park. And so, as we go just north of Garner Road, you'll see right in the middle of the development is kind of this seamless, central park area. Um, and that'll be, designated with decorative pavers and bollards. And, we'll have to do some significant traffic down on Garner just to handle the ingress and egress of these developments. But the hope is that this becomes a seamless kind of outdoor walkable area that can be enjoyed by everybody in the community. Some of the more significant parts of the sports and entertainment district. So first and foremost is the soccer stadium. So the soccer stadium, starting out at about a 5,000 seat stadium, that will have the potential to expand to potentially 15,000 seat stadium. That'll include concession. That'll, alcohol sales. That'll include, the various uses, ancillary uses that you find at sports stadiums. Um, as far as the programming here, there will be potential to run other sport-specific uses on these fields, rugby, football, soccer, as well as, all the youth sport uses. So number one there, that's the soccer specific stadium. And then you see field delineated by the number 6, these two fields. These are practice fields or extra fields for youth programming, so on. You'll see marked by number 5 here. So what this is a indoor outdoor sports entertainment activity complex. And so it'll be multiple stories high. It'll include pickleball, tennis, paddleball, uh, potentially a basketball court. I've seen renderings where they have an outdoor track on the roof with the green roof, and just a really cool kind of multi-use athletics indoor-outdoor gym slash entertainment building. And then along with all of this comes over 1,100 units of multifamily residential. Um, we're hoping to get about 25% of that minimum as affordable, as well as a mixed use facet. So, entertainment uses, restaurants, maybe some nightlife. But, the idea is that this is a walkable community. The idea is that, this is multi-generational housing. This is a different product. These aren't people that are looking for big detached half acre lots. This is close living, walkability, not owning a car, maybe, public transportation, riding your bike to work and home, and kind of that live, play, work district. And so it's something that other cities have adopted and have seen, tremendous success with, and it's something that we're really excited about. I live in the city of Corona, and so any of you locally potentially that have seen what's gone on with the Silver Lake facility in Norco, and just how that's gone from a youth soccer field to all of a sudden three boots in the park concerts that are sold out 4 times a year, with restaurants, and so these things are expanding as people get excited about them, and so we hope for the same at the Ab Brown facility. So very excited about the sports and entertainment complex for sure.
Great. Thank you, Chris. All right. And if you would like to learn more about the different projects that are in the North Side, I have attached a link, northsideplan.com. That's how you can stay connected, sign up for a newsletter there. Or if you had any specific questions for me, I am the project manager for these two projects, and my email is below. I believe we have 5 minutes for questions. Melanie will try to stay within that time frame as much as possible, but I'm sure everyone's excited to ask questions. So would like to open that up now.
Yeah, feel free to come off mute if you have any questions or type it in the chat. We have about like 5 to 10 minutes for questions.
I
I
think
can kick us
everyone's
off.
just excited to speak.
I could kick us off. I have a question. So I know there's looking at the original map, there was a shaded region for a medium density. And so yeah, on that original one, on the yeah, the like yellowish area, the medium density area. What are some ideas or thoughts have you guys have around what medium density looks like, or what you envision, or what that might look like? Just to hear a little bit more about that.
Sure, I can go first, Chris, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
So for the medium density residential, a lot of the parts of the north side with this designation is already built out with some sort of single family residential that's, 5 to 7,000 square foot lots. But there are some opportunities to build on vacant lots with this designation. One of them that Chris mentioned is the site for the D.R. Horton Homes, which is just to the right of the RSED development. So Chris, if you wanted to, just expand upon what they're developing for that, that would be great. But typically for the medium density residential, we're looking at anywhere between 6 to 8 dwelling units per acre, and a single family residential style lot.
Yeah. So, as I kind of hit on earlier, D.R. Horton originally came in with the PRD, or at least what we saw as a PRD, for a few technical reasons. Um, that site is a little bit challenging, as Regine has mentioned, kind of the greater drainage issues that Ward 1 in general is dealing with. And so, all that to say, we're not exactly sure what product what kind of housing product will go there yet. But there is potential for a lot of different kinds, and as far as density goes. the planned residential development, it allows for a heightened density, but as I stated earlier, it asks for enhanced design. That comes with what you typically find in a homeowner association kind of governed community, right? So common and private open space, enhanced ingress, egress, monument signage, private streets potentially with themes, enhanced architectural and elevations, smaller overall lot size, private streets, curb adjacent streets instead of parkway adjacent streets. So that's a more specific type of housing that I think people are looking for. Um, it's not exactly what you find in the north side right at this moment. I think there's more, detached single family kind of traditional 7,500 square foot lots, mostly in Ward One. And so I think there's a great potential for that site to potentially be the anchor site of that medium density housing and to potentially start that trend in this area. As you said, Melanie, there's lots of sites kind of around these two projects. Um, you know, just these sites that are immediately west of ASR and Ab Brown, that are zoned high density residential. Those are all currently industrial uses. So those are all warehouses, light manufacturing, potentially heavy manufacturing that are at this time legal non-conforming, right? So there's potential in the future for maybe those businesses to sell their business and a developer to come in and develop even more high density housing right adjacent to some of these projects. So it just, that just kind of speaks to the potential of this overall area. But yeah, in terms of medium density housing, I would say, your traditional triplex, quadplex, maybe with a few ADUs. I would say that's probably what we see, typically in these kinds of zones.
Awesome. Any more questions? I have one more. If folks don't have it, I don't want to take all the time.
Happy to
Oh,
throw in a question. I heard some numbers of jobs and some numbers of housing units. What's the balance between those in new jobs versus new units for residential?
So for the ASR site, I mentioned that it would generate approximately 2,800 jobs. And the amount of housing units that's proposed on this site is 722 units. But the expectation is that, people that are already living there would be able to get some of these jobs that are generated on top of the additional population that would be residing in the new housing units. Not sure if I answered your question.
Yeah, and the other facility, the
You
soccer
know,
field, what have
I'm
you.
looking through the project description now. I'm not sure that we have um, those exact figures yet.
mm,
Um, we're still quite early in the sports entertainment complex. Like I said, we've only been in conceptual meetings with the developer. There's no formal entitlement submittal yet. So, um, you know, like like Regine kind of said earlier, everything is fluid. Anything
mm.
could change. You know how it goes. So,
Yeah, but right now
yeah.
they are proposing 1,100 residential units
Mhm.
for that project, Jay.
And then just a quick last minute question or for you all is, what how can residents and or collective members stay engaged in the learning and involvement of this? How can they best do so if they wish to follow and stay involved?
Sure. So at the end of my presentation, I included a slide with the link to our website. Um, it's northsideplan.com. You can press the contact button, and there is a place where you can enroll in the newsletter. We update that every time, there's a significant update. Alternatively, my email is here if you have a more like in-depth question. Um, and I can also include everyone here and in the newsletter as well.
That'd be great. And if you want to just drop that link into the chat too, that's super helpful. So then folks can just click into it, even while they're in the meeting and join the newsletter to stay up to date on what's happening. That's always easy for folks to do so and to capture that. So
Great.
yeah. Well, thank you again, Chris and Regine, so much for the presentation. It's really exciting seeing this, and it brings me back to I had the opportunity in 2024 to go to Vienna and look at how they do housing there and how they have a very focused mixed use with high density, but plenty of green space, tons of green space, walkable, and a lot of the project components remind me of that. So that's super exciting. I love to see that. And we look forward to following this project as it comes to the finish line. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Mhm. Now we're going to pivot a little bit and move on to our second presenter. So we have Erika Rincon from Housing California, who's going to, I'm making you a co-host right now so you could share your screen, Erika, who's going to jump in and share a little bit about their RoadMap 2.0 and this new release. They just had a big launch last week. And so she's here to come to the collective, the Inland SoCal Housing Collective specifically to our region and give us some highlights and just open it up to some questions and conversation. So thank you, Erika. Welcome, and it's yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Melanie. Great to be here with all of you today. Hopefully you're seeing my screen. Let me know if you're not. Awesome. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Erika Rincon. I'm the Strategic Initiatives Director at Housing California. My colleague Jack will be also joining us in just a second. I think most of you know our organization, but just a quick overview. We are a state policy advocacy organization working to ensure every resident in California has a safe, stable, and affordable home. And our focus is really at that state level, focused on changing our state level policies and systems to enable more affordable housing production, protect renters, and end homelessness. And then another area of our work is the Residents United Network.
Erika, sorry, I accidentally muted you. I'm so sorry.
Oh, okay. All right.
My bad.
Okay. No worries. Yeah, so that's just a little bit about our organization. But today I'm here to discuss with you all our RoadMap Home. This is a updated policy plan that we actually just launched last week. So we're super excited to be presenting this out into the world now. Let me see, I'm just going to advance. The goal today really is to kind of just walk you through the overarching vision and story behind the roadmap, give you a little preview of the updated policy agenda, and then just share more about how to endorse and support this work and help move it forward. I am going to be at more of a high level today. It's a pretty lengthy document with lots of policies in it. So I encourage folks to really dive into the actual policy details in the full report, which is now on our website. It's roadmaphome.org. We will also put this in the chat. And yeah, that's where the full report is. We also have an executive summary as well. So I think Most of you all know this is obviously a very critical time in California when we know the cost of housing continues to remain out of reach for so many folks in our state, and homelessness continues to be a really pressing challenge in California. So the RoadMap Home essentially is providing an important state policy framework for solutions that can fully address these challenges. So we'll go into a little bit more detail here. So essentially, it is a transformative, field-driven policy agenda, and it's really focused on sort of the breadth of housing and homelessness work. But beyond just being beyond just being a policy agenda, the RoadMap Home is really meant to be a movement and a shared North Star and vision for partners and communities across California who are working on these issues. So the story behind RoadMap is that it began with a simple but urgent premise. The premise is that California's housing and homelessness crisis really requires a more strategic approach at the scale of the need. So for many years, advocates and community leaders were calling for a unified plan at the state level, and there wasn't one. So the roadmap really emerged from that call as an effort to move us beyond just the one-time kind of piecemeal solutions and toward a more strategic plan for structural sustained change. It was originally developed in 2021, and over the past year and a half, we've been working on an extensive update to RoadMap to really reflect the current best thinking right now in the field and to sharpen the policies to be more responsive and relevant to the most pressing challenges that are happening right now. In terms of the RoadMap vision, it's powerful and simple. We envision a California where every single resident has safe, stable, and affordable housing. And really the policy platform that's in the roadmap shows us how to accomplish this vision. And so it truly represents a new era of collective advocacy that is bringing together 66 actionable policies that together address the full spectrum of our housing and homelessness needs. In terms of how the roadmap was created, it was developed by Housing California in close collaboration with the California Housing Partnership. But most importantly, it's been deeply informed by input and expertise from more than 200 partners across California, including input from folks with lived experience. It was also informed by rigorous research and modeling to actually quantify the impacts and the costs of the policies, which is really, really helpful when we're trying to move policy at the state level, because oftentimes that's the most important factors people want to know is exactly how many people are served, how many units would it be able to be built, and what's the actual cost to California. So I just want to acknowledge all the research that was done by the California Budget and Policy Center, the Stanford Institute on Poverty and Inequality, and the California Housing Partnership. In terms of the process, we spent about a year gathering feedback from partners from around the state to really refine the policies that you'll find in there. So it was a very robust process. We had 14 different work group discussions across 7 distinct areas that were homelessness, repairing racial harm, tribal housing, tenant rights, affordable housing production and preservation, reimagining the role of the state, and climate. And we also had a steering committee of folks who helped to facilitate those discussions as well. And then we hosted a 2-day in-person summit to receive additional feedback on the proposed policies, and also engaged partners on how to strengthen our collective power and alignment to advance a more transformative housing system in California. So ultimately, the roadmap, kind of the final product, really reflects what communities say is needed, but also what the evidence shows will work. In terms of the goals of the roadmap home, it sets forth bold but necessary goals. They are create 1 million affordable homes, protect 3 million renters from losing their homes, end homelessness, and close racial equity gaps in housing stability and access to opportunity. And all of these goals are grounded in the actual data, as I mentioned, that inform the roadmap. And it's also accompanied by a very comprehensive framework for accomplishing these goals, which is what I'll go into now. So this is the overarching framework that our policies are organized across. So it's kind of a 4-pronged interconnected framework here. So these are the 4 policy pathways. The first one, provide immediate relief to help people stay in their homes, solve homelessness, and remedy the rising housing cost burden. This area is really looking at the strategies that are focused on enforcing and strengthening tenant protections as well as improving homelessness prevention and providing a route from homelessness to housing security. So that's the policies that are under that pathway. The next one is address and repair the harms that stem from a housing system built on racism. So these policies are looking at, targeting investments in communities of color, addressing racially discriminatory laws, and removing barriers to housing for tribes and people of color. And the third one is transform the state's role in housing to make it more proactive and effective. And these policies here are focused on the many tools and authorities that are at California's disposal to maximize its response to housing and homelessness. So it includes policies that make it easier and more efficient to build and preserve affordable housing, as well as to strengthen our enforcement and coordination of housing laws and programs, as well as to strengthen our governance system and our state leadership to fully address the breadth of these issues. And then most importantly, there's policies in this area that really focus on the actual level of funding that is needed to fully fund our affordable housing programs and our homelessness programs and services. And then the last pathway is dramatically increase revenue to fund the strategies. And this area focuses on the key policy levers that will unlock new revenue sources. And it's really around how to restructure our tax system to bring about new revenue, as well as to advance state measures like the state housing bond, which is a real opportunity right now that the state and partners are working to advance to really align investment with need and move us beyond the short-term fixes. And then I just wanted to share that another important outcome that came out of our stakeholder feedback process that you'll see in this updated report is a subset of policy priorities that we are highlighting as the field's focus in the near term, called our all-in agenda. So when we were getting feedback from folks around the state, it became clear that there were a set of priorities that the field is most broadly aligned around, and that really have the most potential to deliver significant progress over the next 3 to 5 years. And to give a quick preview of those, the first one that rose to the top was the need to generate revenue, which is not surprising. And this encompasses both the need for short and long-term revenue that is actually putting on a path to a sustainable ongoing source of dedicated funding for housing and homelessness. And then some of the other priorities included the need to strengthen and make permanent the Tenant Protection Act before 2030, as well as more work that's needed to fully deliver on affirmatively furthering fair housing in California. So I just wanted to highlight that this will be a new area that you'll see in this report, in this updated report that was not included in the previous report. All right, now we're going to go into our call to action. I believe Jack is on.
Hi, yes, sorry that I was a little late, just got pulled into another call, but happy to be here and be able to talk with all of you about this next step of the roadmap, which is really just getting, broad support and being able to show just the numbers that we have as a sector and that we really need to win in this space. So today we're asking folks to endorse and amplify the roadmap. We're looking for support from all different kinds of folks. So you can endorse as an individual, but we're really also looking for support from, your organization, however that looks for the different organizations. You'll see in a minute the different types of folks that we have already endorsed, but it's a mix of advocates and service providers and developers. And really, we're just looking for so many different folks from across the state to really signal to policymakers and just to really other advocates as well that this is the direction that the sector is going and that we're really organizing around a shared vision. And that's the way that we can just strengthen our position in policymaking to do bigger things, which, like the bond and other things that we want to do this year and going forward. So I think Erika put the link in the Zoom chat, which I was about to do. So thank you, Erika. And so again, you can kind of see some of the different folks that have already endorsed. We're going to continue kind of pushing this and adding to it as we speak to different groups. And we just want to shout out SCAMF and NPH for members of this coalition. And we're, obviously looking to add more. So happy to help answer questions that you folks have about the roadmap once you're able to kind of go through it yourself and with your boards and with your organizations and do more. And I'll put my email in the chat too, just so that folks have it as well. But looking forward to connecting more and appreciate the space to talk to you all.
Here, I'll just share. Here's my email as well on this slide. And then you have our Housing California website. The most helpful website is the RoadMap Home one, which we included in the chat. And then also just to quickly mention, we do have a toolkit that we're asking folks to use as well if you're able to, if your organization is supporting RoadMap and if you're willing to also just help amplify it to the folks that you work with and your local networks. We're really trying to outreach to folks, whether they're working at the local level, regional level, or state level. So we do have that toolkit, and it provides a lot of different easy messaging and things to quickly, send out via social media or email, et cetera, to amplify the roadmap. And we'll get that email or that website address as well, or link, I'm sorry. Yeah, and I think that's kind of our presentation for today, but would love to open it up for questions. And also feel free to reach out to us in the future, once you've taken a look at the roadmap too, if you have any questions, as Jack mentioned.
So I wanted to ask how, oh, sorry, Dawn, I just kind of jumped in. But I wanted to ask, so once an organization does endorse or support and kind of signs on, what can they expect?
Yes.
Like what does that look like? What can they expect? Is there an exchange of information, ways to become involved? Is it just, simply them going back to their org, seeing how they can implement, XYZ? So what does that look like? Can you explain that?
Yeah. Great question. Thank you so much. Yeah, so our idea is that once we have endorsements, there's also a link to get onto our listserv. We will automatically include folks who have endorsed onto our listserv, but via the listserv, we'll be sending out future communications on how to support the roadmap and advance the policies. So for this year in particular, the state housing bond is one of the biggest opportunities for advancing a roadmap policy, but we will also be identifying other bills once they're becoming confirmed for this legislative session on key roadmap aligned bills that are tangible ways of advancing the roadmap policies in this legislative session and in future ones. So we'll be definitely providing communications on opportunities for advancing the roadmap, via legislative stuff, but also if there's other opportunities, whether that's budget related at the state level or even potentially something coming up on the ballot, et cetera, we will definitely be, activating folks around that and really trying to bring that to the folks who are on the listserv. So you can definitely expect that going forward. I think another thing is just to say that, our hope with the roadmap as well is that it can be supportive of the work that you're doing. So whether you're, doing work at the local level or regional level, but if you're looking for policy ideas, if you're looking for research and evidence to show why something is needed, et cetera, like we really encourage folks to use the roadmap. And it's also just a way to further strengthen kind of all the work that we're trying to do and the bigger, vision and goal that we're all working to advance in California around housing and homelessness. So we also want roadmap to be a tool for folks as well. So
That's great. I think, that's something that we always look to, is to find evidence, to find ways to back up different local regional efforts. One thing I'm peculiar want maybe to consider is this is something you do, and I know we have. I know Azalea has joined Housing California and has been a part of our policy pillar right off the bat. The first couple months she's been with you all, but is there a way, as policy is kind of being led out, that we have a policy pillar that really focuses on IE specific, the Inland Empire specific policies? Is there a way that our collective can engage in kind of that discussion as policy is being created or considered or looking to sponsor? We have local electeds here in our area too who want to be housing champions, who want to advocate. So is there efforts or strategies yet, or would you consider in place for kind of a two-way conversation for our regional collective to kind of elevate some housing needs or priorities?
Yes, I mean, I think that all of that is super important. We would definitely look forward to partnering together to exchange that kind of information and also think about the specific ways we can be building champions
Yeah.
from representatives that are in the Inland Empire. You know, we've identified internally at Housing California and with our roadmap homework that there is a huge need to really cultivate stronger champions in housing in California at the state level. We're getting a lot of leadership from Northern California, and we recognize that, and we feel like there is a lot of work to do to really bring on Southern California representatives in general, but I think the Inland Empire especially. So we are looking for ways to be building those champions. So I think if there's ways for us to partner together on that, or partner on different types of opportunities to do in district visits or visits in at the state level, and that's also something our legislative team is working on as well. But it is a part of our roadmap focus this year, is not just to bring this to legislative offices, but actually to be building champions who really want to be part of advancing this vision in California and want that to be part of their legacy. So I think we would love to look for ways to partner on that together.
Dawn, you want to jump in?
Sure. Sure. Thank you, Melanie, and thank you, Erica and Jack, for being here and for your presentation. Certainly encourage people to endorse the roadmap home. I do want to bring up a question that I actually brought up at the kickoff last week. I appreciate again the high level thought that went into putting together ideas and strategies for addressing our broken housing system, but really in the end, the plan to me it just comes out with more of the same of how do we tweak what we call an affordable housing system, which really has nothing to do with making housing affordable for consumers. In fact, consumer affordability is rarely, if ever, part of the conversation when we're talking about affordable housing. It's really based on how do we make projects pencil out for developers and come up with enough creative ways to subsidize it so they can operate market rate projects that really, again, has nothing to do with whether particularly extremely low income households can afford a place to live. And hardworking folks, working class folks, folks on minimum wage, none of this will address their ability to have a place that they can afford to live. In all the effort to develop the retooling of this plan, was there ever any conversation about the fact about consumer affordability and how we make housing affordable for consumers, and less focus on how our very broken system of making it work for developers? And I don't expect Erica and Jeff for you guys to have those answers, but I just wanted to put that out there.
No, I appreciate you raising that, Dawn. And I think there's a lot there to unpack. There is some different things in the roadmap around that. But I think just to share is that there was, throughout our stakeholder feedback process, there was a lot of acknowledgement around how are we actually going to build the housing that serves populations that actually might not, have any income at all. And what is actually the level and the amount of housing that we could be providing through this amount of funding? How many folks of our lowest income brackets would actually be served, et cetera. So some of that is actually in the roadmap. It's identified of exactly how, who would be served and how many units can be provided through a particular policy, like and at what level. And I think another areas that we, because of the framework, it's also focused on providing immediate relief, ending homelessness, and protecting tenants. And a lot of that is not focused on just building of housing, but really, what are the actual things that folks need to be able to access or stay in housing, whether it's rental subsidies and other things as well. And actually, how can you actually provide housing security for someone who is transitioning from homelessness, et cetera. So there's a range of things in there that kind of focus, I think, more on sort of some of our highest need communities in California. But I do appreciate you lifting this up. And I think that's one of our takeaways too from the roadmap is it cannot be just a focus on one thing of just, as you mentioned, only focused on maybe the production side and that would solve the crisis. We know that that's not enough, and the roadmap acknowledges that. But would love to, talk about that more, especially after you've had a chance to look through the roadmap. And yeah, we can further discuss that.
Well, thank you, Erica and Jack, for jumping on. We truly appreciate it and are excited. I was definitely excited to be to listen in on the launch last week, and grateful that you guys were able to follow up with our group, and dive in a little bit more and promote it a little bit more at our local level. So. I know that you guys, yeah, I do see it in the chat. Perfect. So that's great. I'm sure there'll be many of us following up on this, as well as some further discussion and kind of diving into it in our policy pillar, our monthly policy pillar meetings that we have. So we're super grateful that you guys are here. Thanks for coming. Azalea, thanks for coordinating this. And if
Yeah.
there's
No, just thank you all for the invitation and allowing us to present today.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Appreciate it so much. So, well, we're going to take this last 25 minutes that we have to just do some general updates. As you guys know,